after received a congratulatory message from Secretary of State Blinken, and the defense minister here received another congratulatory message from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Those statements coming very soon after the swearing in of the new government. It was a government sworn in by a very thin margin, and that means it will be very difficult to govern, especially with Netanyahu as head of the opposition. And he promises to be a very active head of the opposition, making it difficult for Naftali Bennett as he tries to lead this country, a country that hasn't had a functioning government in quite some time. When it's worth looking at Netanyahu, it's worth considering that the end of this era of Netanyahu revolves around former President Donald Trump. And yet for all of the gifts, the political gifts that Trump gave Netanyahu, from moving the embassy, from recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, from the Golan Heights and the Abraham Accords, the one thing Trump never gave Netanyahu was an electoral victory. Netanyahu lasted just 144 days after the administration of President Donald Trump. He had a functioning government for exactly 0 of those days. Jim?
Quite an extraordinary transition and an historic night in Israel.
All right, let's bring in Aaron David Miller. He's a former Middle East peace negotiator, and he spent more than 2 decades working in the U.S. State Department under several presidents. Aaron, so good to see you. So in his final days, Netanyahu claimed election fraud and has vowed to take down Naftali, again, his former chief of staff. So how stable is this new coalition?
The rhetoric sounds all too familiar, Fred. And there's, Netanyahu is not going away. He's going to go into the opposition. There won't be an Israeli Mar-a-Lago. He's going into the opposition. He will head the largest and most coherent political party in the country, Likud. And he will be plotting and pushing and pressing in an effort to embarrass this government at any chance he gets, and waiting eagerly to pick up the pieces if it, in fact, it collapses.
So will he be a significant force against this coalition where I read this is what it's made up of, this unlikely coalition of parties from the right, center, left of Israeli spectrum, and for the first time, including an independent from an Arab party? That kind of diversity sounds strong, but you're saying possibly not up against a Netanyahu and opposition party.
Well, no. I think that there are several features of this government that actually may allow it to endure longer than the conventional analysis would suggest. First of all, there's mutually assured destruction, Israeli style. Both Bennett and Lapid, who will rotate, Bennett first as prime minister, and if you make it through 2 years plus, then Lapid will become prime minister. They have vetoes over major issues. Number 2, all of these parties understand that the reason they're together now, bringing to an end a decade and more of Netanyahu's reign, is in large part because of him. And they are absolutely determined to keep him at bay. They also know that this is political oblivion for many of them if they don't make this government work. I mean, the prime minister, Fred, for the first time in the political history of Israel, has 6 seats. Usually, a prime minister represents one of the 2 major parties, or a third party that has significant seats. Bennett has 6. So he's going to have to cooperate in order to survive.
And Bennett publicly thanked President Biden today for his support of Israel during the recent conflict in Gaza. Netanyahu's tone in his outgoing speech, well, let's say it was a little different. Listen.
Prime Minister in Israel must be able to say no to the president of the US in topics that are threats to our existence.
So is Biden the linchpin here?
All right, let me get some more scriptures, man. All right. I got another clip I want to play. At the end of the day, it's all a joke, man. All right. Yahweh Shemal Shah is going to destroy that land of Israel, man. All right. Let me get this real fast. Just not to waste any time. All right. Like I said, this lesson is getting straight to the point. All right. Isaiah 48, verse 22. All right. No peace to the Middle East, right? Isaiah 48, 22. There is no peace, saith the Lord Yahweh Shemal Shai, unto the wicked. All right. Ain't no damn peace coming to you Edomites, man. All right. And damn sure ain't no peace coming to those Amalekites over there in Israel. Okay. So all of this stuff is smoke and mirrors, man. And like the brother said on the comment board, man, something big is about to happen. It's about to go down, man. All right. You can feel it in the air. You see? Let me grab this. Psalm 7 and 11. And it reads, Psalm chapter 7, verse 11. Yahweh Shemel Shai judgeth the righteous, and Yahweh Shemel Shai is angry with the wicked every day. Okay? And that hasn't changed. Okay? Verse 12, it says, if he turn not, he will whet his sword. He have bent his bow and made it ready. All right? Because hey, these missiles are ready, man. Okay, World War III is pretty much ready. Nuclear war, I should say. Nuclear war is ready. All right. You know, one thing that the guy, the devil, not a Jew, and the new prime minister, they have Naftali Bennett. They all vowed, both of them, they vowed to keep Iran away from this nuclear program. All right, which is not going to happen. All right, Iran has the uranium, they have the missiles, and they're going to use them. You see, Psalm 7 and 13, it says he have also prepared for him the instruments of death. He ordained his arrows against the persecutors. Right, those are the missiles. Okay, those are the instruments of death. Okay, that are about to be used to cleanse this world. Isaiah 54 and verse 16, and it reads, it says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire and bringeth forth an instrument for his work. That's the ICBMs. And I have created the waster to destroy, man. All right, so the missiles are going to be used, man. All right, something big is happening, man. Like I was saying, you know, all this stuff that's going on around the world, and we're in the midst of this damn alphabet, nasty people pride month. You know, wickedness is increasing. All right, something big is about to happen, man. All right, let's play this clip, and I'll get to my get to some more scriptures here. All right, just dealing with the new prime minister, Naftali Bennett. I got this clip here. Play a little bit of this, and then I'll get back to the scriptures.
Democrats in the US. Netanyahu chose to ignore him. Bennett is seeking to engage with them. So what does he bring to the table? Well, Bennett is more hawkish than Netanyahu in Palestine. He says there was never a Palestinian state. Hence, there is no Israeli occupation. If Netanyahu is far right, Bennett takes it to a whole new level. He has publicly boasted about killing Arabs. In 2018, he advocated a shoot-to-kill policy for children breaching the Gaza border. They would
see this devil in here. He's about to go hard, man. All right, they got somebody that's about to get this thing popping. You see?
Breaching the Gaza border. They were terrorists, he said, not children. So blocking a Palestinian state is his life goal, some say. Does this mean that he will annex the entire West Bank? Right now, it seems unlikely. Bennett has a wafer-thin majority. His partners are soft in Palestine. So he will most likely toe the Netanyahu line, manage the conflict with no intention of solving it. What about his approach to India? Well, Netanyahu proved to be a key ally for New Delhi. Under him, India's West Asia policy was dehyphenated, which meant that relations with Israel and Palestine were separated. They would stand on their own merit. This will likely continue under Bennett. Prime Minister Modi has already congratulated the new Prime Minister of Israel. Bennett responded with a message of his own. Both leaders talked about deepening the bilateral relationship. So don't expect radical changes in foreign policy. The big difference, though, is on domestic politics. Bennett has a broad alliance behind him, including an Arab party. He's talking about healing the Israeli society, reducing the rift between Jews and Arabs, the hardliners and the secularists.
We are at the start of new days. Hardships. It's not an exaggerated word in this case, but the hardships of establishing the unity government are behind us. And now the people of Israel, every single one, is putting their eyes on us and the burden of proof is on us. We will work together in partnership and with responsibility in order to mend the rift in the nation and immediately bring back the country to normal functioning after a long period of paralysis and quarrels.
This is something Netanyahu never really tried to do. He was happy consolidating his own vote bank. That vote bank still supports him. They still see.
All right. So moving on. All right. You get the point. Okay. They got a new devil in the office out there in Israel. All right. And it's still going down regardless, man. All right. No peace to the so-called Middle East. All right. Fire and brimstone. The missiles are still going to rain, man. All right. So let's get into that. Okay. Let me pull this up. Okay. This came out in the Jerusalem Post a few weeks ago. Okay. Because, hey, it's still going to happen. All right. Russia's harsh condemnation of Israel. What does it mean for the future? Okay. Let me pull this up. Where's my map at? All right. Because it's still going to go down. And I'm going to grab Ezekiel 38. All right. But the Lord is going to gather those troops in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. Let's get that scripture. And I'll go back to that. All right. Joel 3:2. Okay. Joel chapter 3, verse 2. And it reads, it says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, or Jehoshaphat, which means Yahweh Shaphat, which means Yahweh judges. All right. Because this is where it's going down at. All right. In this region, in the so-called Middle East. All right. This is where all the nation's militaries are going to go to war at, man. All right. This is where it's going to take off at, right here. Joel 3:2, I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them. I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they scattered among the nations and parted my land. You see? Because you got heathens there. You got them damn devils over there, them Amalekites, man. All right. So the Lord is going to avenge his temple. Okay. He's going to avenge his people. All right. So Israel and them nations, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Afghanistan. All right. All those nations that make up the so-called Middle East. All right. It's going to go down there, man. You see, World War III is going to take place. All right. And there's no stopping that, man. My point, just take heed when they talk about peace, when they talk about peace and safety, restoring relationships. All right. That's not of the scriptures. Hey, the Lord said otherwise. Prophecy says otherwise. Okay. Let me get this, because this one kind of slipped under the radar. It came out a couple of days ago, so I just wanted to bring this out for people to see. But this is Zephaniah 3:8, and it reads, it says, Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, unto the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation. All right. So he's Yahweh Shema Shai is assembling the kingdoms. Okay. In this Middle East region. Okay. My determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. You see? Okay. Let's go to Ezekiel 38. Let's get that real quick. All right. Because the point was made. Okay. So you better believe Russia, Iran, China. All right. All these nations are about to be involved, man. This thing is happening. Okay. Because remember, Russia had condemned Israel for all the killings that was going on with the bombings and all of that, that was happening a couple weeks ago. All right. And we know, according to what Jeremiah 50 and was it 45, that the least of the flock shall draw them out, man. So Israel is going to draw America into World War III, man. This thing is happening. All right. So going back, my point again, where's my map at? All right. This is where it's going to happen. Okay, let's get Ezekiel chapter 38. Okay. It says prophecy about Gog and future invasion of Israel. You see this? Israel, the land of Israel, is going to get invaded. Okay. This is heavy. So let's break this down. Ezekiel 38, verse 1, and it reads, it says, and the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech Tabal, and prophesy against them. All right. So Gog and Magog, all right, this makes up Russia, the Russians. Okay. Russia and the surrounding areas. Okay. It says, verse 3, and say, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Shema Shai, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief of Prince Meshach and Tabal. Verse 4, Salaki, Ezekiel 38, verse 4, it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. All right. So Yahweh Shema Shai is putting that USSR spirit back into Russia. Okay. Russia is pretty much getting ready to turn back from being diplomatic with America and Israel, man. All right. And it's going to lead to a full scale war. All right. This is what we're reading. You see? Verse 5, Persia, okay, which is Iran, Ethiopia, Libya with them. All of them with shield and helmet. All right. So what we're seeing now in this time concerning prophecy is these different alliances being formed. All right. Because basically, in the spirit, you know, these nations are getting their militaries ready. They're arming up the troops. Okay. They're they're getting the jets, the tanks, everything ready to roll, man. You see the ships out there lining up in the oceans. You know, everything is war ready, battle ready. All right, these nations are ready to roll. Verse 6, Gomer and all his bands in the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all of his bands and many people with thee. Okay. Verse 7, Be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all the company that are assembled unto thee, and be a guard, and be thou a guard unto them, right? Because Russia is going to be a guard unto these nations, you know. And like I said earlier, you know, Russia is allies with Iran, and the main objective for Israel is to stop Iran from creating nuclear weapons. You know, so Russia's about to get involved, man. You know, they're rousing up that bear. You see? Verse 8, it says, after many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and has gathered out many people against the mountains of Israel, which have always been waste. Right. Since what, 70 AD? It says, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they should dwell safety, all of them. Verse 9, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou should be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. You see? So Israel is going to get invaded, man. All right. Those troops are going to invade Israel, man. You know, World War III, man. Verse 10, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Shema Shai, shall come to pass, that at that same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Right. Going back to what? They're gonna use those missiles to blow up Babylon, man. America's going to get hit, and Israel included. It said, thou shalt think an evil thought. Okay. They're going to drop them ICBM missiles on that place, man. And America included. Verse 11, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, which is America, I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely. All of them dwelling without walls, all right, because America is open for the taking, which has been coming out lately. You know, the power grid, all right, is pretty much open to be taken down by China, Russia, and all of that. You know, this place is wide open for an invasion as well. You know, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Verse 12. Take a spoil and to take a prey, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. All right. So pretty much, according to prophecy, all right, America is going to get destroyed, man, right along with the land of Israel too. You see? But I just wanted to bring this out. All right. It's getting ready to go down. Don't fall asleep. All right. Put my map back up. Okay. This is where it's all going to take place, man. You know, the Lord's determination is what? To gather the nations. All right. For this final war's war, you know. But yeah, I pray this quick lesson was edifying. I just want to bring this out real quick. Call halayim la Yahweh Shem Shai. Double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring in the house of David. Hey, shalom to you, brothers.